What's going on, everyone? My name's Evan Jevnikar and I'm the Daily Dino Guy. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at some of the most recent dinosaurs to have been discovered. From speedy relatives of T-Rex to tiny relatives of Triceratops, these dinosaurs reveal interesting behaviors and a unique evolutionary history of dinosaurs. Make sure you let me know in the comments which of these dinosaurs you think is your favorite. First up, we have a troodontid that was found this year called Urbacodon norelli, which was found in China 95 million years ago. So this dinosaur is actually one of two species of Urbacodon. The original species, Urbacodon itimarensis, was actually found in 2007 and was found in Uzbekistan. But how do scientists know that this dinosaur is related to the original Urbacodon that lived in Uzbekistan? Both fossils preserved a lower jaw that could be compared against each other. They found that both of these jaws were long and slender and contained relatively thick teeth. This meant that they had to be very closely related. But since they were found in different places and different times in history, they're considered separate species. Like the original species, Urbacodon norelli is estimated to be about 3 feet long, or 1 meter. By comparing its jaws to those of similarly sized dinosaurs, it's estimated that Urbacodon had a bite force of about 60 newtons. That would be roughly the same as a squirrel. So the reason that this dinosaur is so unique is how it replaced its teeth. You, me, and all other mammals replace their teeth only once in our lifetime. However, dinosaurs were constantly replacing them, so they always had fresh and strong teeth. And instead of replacing every tooth at the same time, they developed complex patterns of losing their teeth, so they never had massive gaps in their jaws. By looking at the jaws of Urbacodon norelli, paleontologists found replacement teeth hiding inside the jaw, ready to pop out underneath certain teeth. They estimated that Urbacodon would replace every third tooth after a couple of months. This is different than most meat-eating dinosaurs that replaced every second tooth after a couple of months. Next up, we have another troodontid called Hypnovenator, which lived in Japan 112 million years ago. Hypnovenator was also pretty small, measuring about 3 feet or 1 meter as well, and had a similar bite force. Hypnovenator is so cool because it's one of the few dinosaurs to have actually passed away peacefully in its sleep. It's very common for skeletons of dinosaurs to have their heads and arms stretched backwards, exposing their stomach. This is because rigor mortis slowly causes them to stiffen their muscles. But Hypnovenator had its arms and legs tucked in, just like a bird when it's sleeping. This means that Hypnovenator was quickly buried while it was sleeping, before rigor mortis was able to set in. Another dinosaur that was fossilized in its sleep was Mei Long, which was another troodontid. For this to happen, the conditions have to be precise. A catastrophic event like a flash flood would have to quickly bury the animal, but it couldn't be so powerful that it damages the bones or rips apart the skeleton. Japan at the time was a semi-arid environment with occasional rivers, so a flash flood that would have buried Hypnovenator like this would definitely have been rare. But research from 2024 found that some dinosaurs from China, like Psittacosaurus, were actually preserved in caved-in burrows. While it wasn't explicitly stated by the scientists who found Hypnovenator, this may be why this dinosaur was rapidly buried without tearing apart the skeleton. Our next newly discovered dinosaur is actually a relative of T-Rex. This is Asiatyrannus, which lived in China 66 million years ago, making it one of the last dinosaurs to exist before the Cretaceous extinction. Asiatyrannus was relatively small for a tyrannosaur. It was estimated to be about 11 to 13 feet long, or about 3.5 to 4 meters. What's cool about this dinosaur is that it's actually the second tyrannosaur to have been found in China during this time period. Asiatyrannus lived alongside the bigger tyrannosaur, Dinosaurs. Unlike the long and thin skull of this bigger tyrannosaur, Asiatyrannus had a short and deep skull. Because they're different sizes and have different skull shapes, it's suggested that these two dinosaurs hunted different prey in order to avoid competition. This has actually happened several times in tyrannosaur evolution. One species usually gets smaller to hunt faster prey, while the other species gets bigger to hunt stronger prey. And Asiatyrannus was built for speed. Unlike T-Rex, Asiatyrannus is estimated to have reached up to 38 miles per hour, or 61 kilometers per hour, based on similarly sized tyrannosaurs. As for its bite force, it's estimated to have a bite force of about 1,500 to 1,900 newtons, based on similarly sized tyrannosaurs. For reference, Dinosaurs had a bite force of about 12,000 to 16,000 newtons, so Asiatyrannus was definitely the weaker tyrannosaur. While it couldn't possibly take down larger dinosaurs like Jiangxi Titan and Nanshiangosaurus, it was perfectly adapted to catch all the smaller, nimble species of oviraptors that lived in China during this time. Moving on, we have Capaninaean, which was a long-necked dinosaur that lived in Argentina 99 million years ago. This sauropod was about 32 feet long, were just under 10 meters. The reason Campanian is so unique is because of its extremely lightweight skeleton. Many long-necked dinosaurs have air pockets inside of their bones. They developed these air pockets to help make themselves lighter and not get crushed underneath their own weight. But the bones of Campanian have way more air pockets in them than any other long-necked dinosaur. This would have made Campanian way lighter than any other long-necked dinosaur. But the trade-off for this would have been that its bones would have been very fragile and easily breakable. They were so fragile, in fact, that the paleontologists that found the skeleton of Campanian could barely remove the rocks from the fossil without breaking the bones. Campanian lived alongside Giganotosaurus, one of the biggest predatory dinosaurs to ever exist. Because it was so big, Giganotosaurus would have been a very slow predator, only able to take down equally slow dinosaurs. This extra lightweight skeleton may have helped Campanian avoid this predator if it needed to make a quick getaway. Alcaracush is our next dinosaur, and it lived in Kyrgyzstan 168 million years ago. This meat-eating dinosaur would have been about 26 feet or 8 meters long, and it would have weighed about 2,600 pounds or 1,200 kilograms. What's so interesting about this dinosaur is they found not just one, but two skeletons right next to each other. One of the skeletons was bigger than the other one, suggesting it may have been a parent to the smaller one. The scientists who found these dinosaurs cut open their bones to measure their growth rings just to make sure. Just like tree rings, bones preserve growth rings that, when you count them up, you'll be able to tell how old that dinosaur was. And they found they were right, with the bigger one having more growth marks preserved in it than the smaller one. They also found that the larger individual was slowing its growth, while the smaller one was actively growing. This provides evidence that Alcaracush likely hunted in small family packs to bring down big plant-eating dinosaurs. And Alcaracush would have been a deadly hunter in its environment. Based on similarly sized dinosaurs, it would have been able to run about 18 to 23 miles per hour, or 30 to 37 kilometers per hour. And it could deliver a bite force of about 10,000 newtons. We don't know a whole lot about the dinosaurs from Kyrgyzstan. It likely included sauropods, stegosaurs, and iguanodons. But we do have fossil evidence of ferns, which would imply a warm and humid climate. This is totally different from the cold, arid, mountainous environment that currently makes up Kyrgyzstan. Next up, we have Draco, which lived in France 100 million years ago. This dinosaur was estimated to be about 20 feet long, or 6 meters long. It likely weighed over 1,900 pounds or 900 kilograms. Draco was an abelisaur, so it was known for having really tiny arms, but powerful leg and tail muscles. These muscles would have been bigger than any other predator of the same size. Based on similarly sized dinosaurs, Draco could probably run about 26 to 29 miles per hour, or 42 to 47 kilometers per hour. But since it was an abelisaur, it likely could have run faster than that. Also, as an abelisaur, it would have had a powerful bite. Draco probably had a bite force of over 7,000 newtons. This bite force, combined with its impressive speed, would have made it one of the deadliest predators in France's history. Now, these types of predators are actually very rare in Europe, with Draco being just one of 5 European abelisaurs. What's even more interesting is that it doesn't even resemble these European abelisaurs. In fact, it looks way more like abelisaurs from South America. So, the authors suggest that these types of predators migrated from South America all the way up to Europe. Moving on, we have Qianjiangosaurus, which was a hadrosaurid, or early duck-billed dinosaur that lived in China 72 million years ago. This plant eater would have been about 26 feet or 8 meters long. What's cool about this dinosaur is that it reveals how dinosaurs migrated across prehistoric Asia. Qianjiangosaurus and many of the other dinosaurs that it lived with looked very similar to the dinosaurs that lived in Mongolia. And those Mongolian dinosaurs also seem to have lived around 72 million years ago. So the authors suggest that because all of these dinosaurs look so similar to each other, whole ecosystems of dinosaurs were migrating across Mongolia and China for millions of years. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to thank the amazing people that make these videos possible, my Daily Dino Direct members. Thank you so much for your support and passion for paleontology. Because of you, this channel is able to put out videos that are as understandable and as accessible as possible. If you want to support this channel and take your dino knowledge to the next level, then you should consider joining Daily Dino Direct. You'll get early access to these YouTube videos and you'll get exclusive masterclass lectures. So go to my website and sign up. Our next dinosaur was Coahuilosaurus, which was a duck-billed dinosaur that lived in Mexico 72 million years ago. Like Kianjangosaurus, this dinosaur would have been about 26 feet long, or 8 meters long. Coahuilosaurus was a part of a specific group of hadrosaurs called critosaurs. Critosaurs are unique because they all had large noses on their snouts. These dinosaurs have been found as far north as Alberta, Canada, and now as far south as Mexico. But what's interesting is that scientists realized that these critosaurs all seem to have lived very close to the coast of an ancient seaway called the Western Interior Seaway. This huge seaway cut through North America and separated it into two different islands, Laramidia and Appalachia. It seems that critosaurs prefer to live on the east coast of Laramidia. They don't ever seem to migrate towards the west of Laramidia, and they don't ever seem to cross over into Appalachia. Sasayamanomus is another dinosaur that was found in Japan 106 million years ago. This tiny dinosaur would have only been about 2 feet long, or 80 centimeters. Because of its unique skull, paleontologists know that it was probably an ancient ancestor to horned dinosaurs like Triceratops. But Sasayamanomus didn't have horns or frills like Triceratops. Plus, it was small enough to walk on 2 legs, making it much faster and more agile. But for most of ceratopsian evolution, many of them didn't have horns. It wouldn't be until about 10 million years after Sasayamanomus that we begin to see some of the first horned ceratopsians. And it would be another 40 million years later when Triceratops would evolve. So that's quite a long time. So Sasayamanomus also lived alongside Hypnovenator, which we talked about earlier. While it was a little bit smaller than Hypnovenator, it's not quite clear that it would have been its prey. Many troodontids are known to hunt early mammals, which were even smaller than Sasayamanomus. But it could be possible that juveniles would have been on the menu for Hypnovenator. And finally, we have Conchosaura, which was a long-necked dinosaur that lived in Spain 72 million years ago. This dinosaur would have been about 30 feet long, or roughly 9 meters long. It was pretty small for a long-necked dinosaur, so how do we know that it wasn't just a juvenile of an even bigger dinosaur? While the authors didn't cut open the bones and measure the growth rings, that wasn't even necessary. Many bones, especially the vertebrae in the spine, become fused as animals get older. Younger dinosaurs then are expected to have vertebrae that aren't fused together. But the vertebrae in the hips of Conchosaura are actually fused together, so it was just a small yet mature sauropod. Saltosaurs typically had a row of spikes on their back that would have been used for defense. Some also developed ossicles, which were tiny bumps that would have covered their back and their sides. But Saltosaurs are way more common outside of Europe. In fact, one of Conchosaurus' closest relatives, Opisthecolicata, is actually from Mongolia. So what gives? Well, it's suggested that the ancestors of Conchosaura originated in Asia and then migrated over into Spain. This migration of sauropods from Asia turned Europe into a melting pot of diversity where tons of different species of sauropods interacted with each other. Well, that's all 10 dinosaurs. Tune in next time where we discuss the other dinosaurs that have been discovered recently. If you made it this far, then you probably love dinosaurs as much as I do. If that's true, then you should sign up for my newsletter. Every month, I gather all the cutting-edge research on dinosaurs and I send it to you absolutely free. Go to my website and sign up. If you enjoyed this in-depth survey on brand new dinosaurs, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video on dinosaurs. And don't forget to check out Daily Dino Guy on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for even more amazing dinosaur facts. Until next time, keep exploring the ancient past with me, Daily Dino Guy.